Hello and welcome to Drive Gear. I'm your host, Ramiro Ortiz, and today we are in beautiful, lush, green Laverne, California at Bonita High School for the Bonita High School Car Show. And here we go. I'm here with my new friend Jay and his sort of Frankenstein trike. He calls it the Extreme. It's something else. You gotta see this thing. So Jay, can you tell us a little bit of how this came to be? How did you construct this?
Well, everybody says I woke up with a nightmare. They built this thing. But I just wanted something that was very different, and I wanted something that I could travel across the country with. So this is what I built. It's got a big 351 Cleveland motor in it, got a full-width Cadillac rear end in it, and it's got parts from just about everybody you can think of. It took me 3 years to build it. I've been in 26 states so far, got 180,000 miles on it, and been to Sturgis 4 times, and Branson, Missouri twice, and just touring the country, you know, running everywhere and getting wow looks.
Right.
So, and we used to drag a trailer, so we stop at campgrounds, and when we go into the campground, the whole place shut down. I gotta go see this thing, you know.
Right, you were telling me that you went part by part. There was no schematics. This was just your vision, and it was trial and error, and you just putting things together. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's no prints anywhere on what to build. So it was just trial and error. I try this, and if it worked, great. If it didn't, well, then I go back to square one and start all over again.
Right. You were telling me that you actually built some of the pieces yourself. Some of them are handmade by you. What is handmade by you on the car?
The dash itself was built by me, and various other, well, this part here, because this has to be made at an angle.
Right.
So I built that myself.
Right.
So to make the mirrors correct.
Right.
The drive shaft is all special built. I built the whole frame. I just built the whole thing.
Right.
Trial and error.
Yeah, you were telling me that you actually had to go to some specialists to get some of the parts to work together.
I'd have to go to the drive shaft place because I have a Ford engine and a GM rear end, and they're not happy. So I take both drive shafts into a special place, and they would hook it up this long.
Okay. So what was your last trip? You were telling me about your last trip. It was kind of a lengthy trip. You went pretty far with it.
Yeah, well, the last round trip we went to Branson, Missouri was 5,200 miles round trip, and we were gone 3 weeks or so.
Right, and you got a lot of different looks probably.
Oh yeah, especially pulling my trailer. Boy, people, whoa, you know. You pull that? Yeah, no problem. We got that big monster motor in here with plenty of horsepower, so
right.
I pulled it around. I didn't even know it was there.
Right, you were telling me that you can get the speed up on this thing pretty high, and you got no problems to run smooth, right?
Yeah, I had it at 100 miles an hour once. I figured that was enough, and I still had lots of pedal left over. I said, 100 miles is plenty.
I was taking a look at the trike, and I saw the upholstery, and it's just amazing. But one of the things that really just got my attention was the lights you have all over. So it gives it that very semi-truck kind of look to it.
At night, yes, it's very lit up. Boy, if you hit me, you're blind.
So they can see you for miles, can't they? I'd like to thank you for showcasing your car to us, your trike, should I say, and just thank you. It's an amazing vehicle. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a great day. I'm here with my friend Larry, who has a brilliant car from a different time in America's history. It's an Oldsmobile 88. And what can you tell us about your car?
Well, it's a 1950 model Futuramic 88 four-door sedan. It's all original, has not been modified in any way except for tires and brakes, which wear out.
Right.
The car was originally purchased by a school teacher in Fairmont, Minnesota, and it stayed in her family for 52 years.
Wow.
The last surviving sibling in that family passed away in 2002, and the car was auctioned off, and the man that bought it owned a car museum in Parkville, Missouri. He put it in his museum, and a year later he decided to retire, and the car went from Parkville to Michigan. And I got the car from the gentleman in Michigan. It was on eBay, and I bought it at an auction on eBay. And I talked to him on the phone, and he explained to me what the car was all about. And I didn't really see it in person until it arrived in California after I purchased it. But it's really quite a survivor car. It hasn't been touched or modified in any way.
It basically is like it got transported from the 1950s to us. We can definitely see how this car would have handled, would have worked at that time, how people were driving at that time.
Right.
And so tell us a little bit about how you and your wife have been trying to preserve that whenever you go to car shows and you display the car.
Well, we don't do a lot of car shows, especially ones that are far away, because we want to try to keep the mileage down as much as possible. And we show different artifacts inside the car from 1950 that were very popular. Now, the most younger people, I don't think they would know who Howdy Doody was. My wife and I grew up in that time frame, and I had an uncle that had an Oldsmobile like this when I was just 12 years old. And I always was impressed with the speed of that car, and I thought, gee, someday I'd like to own one of those. Fortunately, 4 years ago, I managed to get this one.
Yeah, we definitely ran into this sort of phenomenon where a lot of these cars, because of the way they were built in those days, they tend to last a lot longer. They tend to run a lot better, and you can just keep servicing them and they keep coming back just because of the quality of the parts, because of the attention to detail that was present in that era. So what are the reactions you're getting when you go to meets, when you display to people, based on what they sort of think of older vehicles?
Well, what's good about it is that because it's classified as a survivor, there's a new classification in the Oldsmobile Club, the national club. This car would be classified as a research car now.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of people will find these vehicles in junkyards or parts missing and all kinds of stuff not there.
Right.
And if they try to restore it back to what it was originally, they have nothing to look back on.
Yes.
So this car in that regard would be good for studying it to see what was there originally and try to put it back in whatever vehicle that the individual is trying to restore.
Definitely. Earlier you were speaking about the fact that a lot of auto shop classes are sort of going away. These classes aren't really being taught. Obviously we're here at Bonita High School. Their auto shop is putting on this event, and it's a great event. It keeps awareness of these cars and the importance of mechanical work on cars, and just being a mechanic in general, knowing how the car works, knowing how to service a car. What's your view on that?
Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to attend this show, to support that. There's so many schools that are eliminating music and shop classes and all that. I was happy to see that they had an auto shop here.
Right. So you definitely think that it's important for the younger generations to at least have some basic understanding of how these cars work.
Oh, absolutely. The technology from years ago is entirely different from what it is now.
Definitely.
And it's like retraining to go backwards.
Right.
I don't know how else to explain that, but it's a good thing that they're training young people to work on these cars and know how to rebuild a carburetor. Right. Or the right way to tune up a vehicle. I mean, a lot of that's done with electronic stuff in the auto shops now, the dealerships.
Right.
And they need to have people that know how to do that kind of work.
I'd like to thank you for the time you've given us, for imparting some great knowledge on us. Thanks you so much, Larry. Thank you. Boom! All right, guys, that's been the Bonita High School Car Show. We are at Bonita High School in Laverne, California, and this, as always, has been Drive Gear.